probably the aspect to look at now is Japan's infrastructure. We do know that the high-speed bullet trains stopped immediately there is an earthquake. They do get warnings even with the driver. But the other thing that is a real danger for Japan is they have a major nuclear industry, and it'd be interesting to know if any of that has been affected, because there has been concerns about that in the past.
Wow. I mean, do they have a plan in place as far as, what they would do if something like that happened? I mean, I'm sure they must have some sort of precautions, to protect those facilities.
They do, but there has been concerns in the past. There has been a few stories of scares there and lack of safety in the past. In the last 15 years, even when I was there was concern about the nuclear industry there. So they have to be very careful when you've got an earthquake of that magnitude. It can affect industries like that.
Right now we're looking at some more pictures, and what we're seeing, in case you can't see, we're seeing a bunch of people just gathered in the street, probably pretty scared and in shock. I mean, and you said you weren't there for a major one like this, but tell us, what it's like when something like this happens, even if it's just a major tremor.
Well, the real thing is if an earthquake strikes anywhere in the world, particularly in Tokyo, you really need to get out of the building quickly, or at least protect yourself from like a door frame or a stairwell. In all these situations, even in Taiwan, we know that people have to get out of those buildings quite quickly, particularly the older buildings, because they can come down very quickly. So the Japanese people do know of the risk, and they do know what they need to do. But when you've got a population of perhaps 20 million in the greater Tokyo area, it's not an easy task.
You can only imagine all those people, because it says, shortly after this thing struck, buildings were shaking violently and people could be seen just running into the streets, and I would imagine it would be pretty scary and pretty chaotic. And right now we just see people that are sort of mulling about, probably still wondering, what the heck just happened.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's the first few minutes. People need to act quickly. I don't know if you've seen the amazing videos when these earthquakes strike of shops and offices. It's just a very frightening experience. I do remember when this earthquake hit when I was in Tokyo that it really was unbelievable, because everything in the room shook. It's like a toy. You felt like a toy, and then it felt like as it hit a train very close going past. So it's a scary experience.
For people that are just joining us, I want to sort of go ahead and recap what's going on here. An 8.8 magnitude earthquake hitting off the northeast coast of Japan, about 80 miles off coast, we're told. That already triggered a 13-foot tsunami. We've been showing pictures of this for quite a while, of cars being washed away, some buildings torn up, buildings on fire, smoke coming from at least a couple of buildings in Tokyo. We've got lots of locations along Japan's coast with footage showing severe flooding and cars and boats submerged and being carried along by fast-moving waters. Also, a large ship swept away by the tsunami. It says that rammed directly into a breakwater near Miyagi Prefecture, which we're told is really right at the epicenter. And also, again, the quake struck at about 2:45 local time. By 3 o'clock, they had already had at least one small tsunami. Since that struck, there have been a series of smaller aftershocks. I say smaller aftershocks, but some of them have been pretty big. One of them is 7.4 magnitude, so that's not small either. That occurred about 30 minutes after the big one, after the 8.8. We're going to go ahead and go now again to, well, actually, we're going to go to Fox News meteorologist Rick Reichmuth, who joins us right now. Hi, Rick.
Marianne.
What can you tell us? We've been talking about this tsunami warning and what it means, and the fact that it could be expanded to include more of the Pacific, but have you heard anything along those lines?
Well, the one thing that I'm seeing is that a hurricane watch has been issued for Hawaii. So that is, obviously of concern to one of our states.
Wow, Rick, as we're talking, I have to talk about this. As we're talking, we are watching, it appears, the tsunami coming in, the smaller one that they've already had that they say was about 13 feet, and we're just watching. I mean, it looks pretty powerful. I mean, it looks like it's carrying homes and cars and everything else. Are they still worried about subsequent tsunamis, about more tsunamis that could do that kind of damage, or worse?
I would tell you, these are not live pictures. Is that correct, Marianne?
No, this is stuff that we got in. We're being told that this 13-foot tsunami hit about 30 minutes after the big one hit, after the 8.8 that hit offshore.
Right.
So that's what we're looking at right now. So we've had these for a little while.
Right. Now, there would not be where this is if I was about 30 minutes ago. There likely wouldn't be any other extremely large tsunamis. I mean, they generally come in a series of waves, but nothing that can generally go on that long.
That was my question. I'm glad you're talking about that, because what is the I guess the time frame they look at as far as the danger zone? I mean, are we out of that danger zone?
Well, we're not necessarily out of that danger zone. This area where you're seeing these extremely destructive pictures, this has already occurred, but areas farther downshore and farther away from the center of the the earthquake certainly would continue to see the tsunami just spreading into different areas. So what we're seeing these pictures right here, that's already occurred, but something, another 80 miles, 100 miles up the coast potentially continues to see very similar type tsunamis.
So we could be getting more pictures similar to this. But as far as, we were talking earlier, I was talking with a seismologist, and he said that the tsunami warning could be expanded to, the coast of the United States even. Does it sound like that could happen?
No, in fact, a tsunami watch has been issued for Hawaii. And a statement has been issued for the west coast of the U.S. They have not at this point issued any kind of a warning or watch, but it's under review. And so as soon as they're done with that review, they'll be able to say it's all clear, or that there is some concern. It takes a long time, or a relatively long time, for these waves to move across the ocean. They generally will move 400 to 500 miles an hour. So if there were in fact a tsunami in Hawaii, it would probably be about another 6 hours or so before the waves would arrive there. West coast of the U.S. would probably be another, and I don't know exactly, but probably about another 7 hours after that. So we'll have plenty of time to get that information for Hawaii and for the west coast of the U.S. The more immediate threat are places and locations that are very close to Japan.
Some of those,
Russia.
Russia, and they said the Marianas, there are certain places that were under this warning almost immediately. Yep. And then, of course, you've got the watches in effect as well. So the way you're describing this, though, for people, this is something that could stretch on for quite a while. They're going to be watching this for a while, for several hours.
Well, they certainly are. What they do is they have their buoys out in the water. They're able to check those buoys and see if there's any changes in sea level. And that's how they get an idea if areas past those buoys need to be concerned or not. So, we'll probably have some very good information coming out within the next hour or so about any watches that might be issued to the west coast of the U.S., or if it becomes a warning for Hawaii. We will have, a lot of that information coming in within the next hour or so. So there will be plenty of time, but conditions are right now are certainly very fluid still.
So this is something, obviously, everyone's going to be watching here for a little while. How quickly, you were saying that there's going to be plenty of warning should this get, threaten the U.S. West Coast or Hawaii or any of those other places in general that are under this warning right now. There's plenty of time to act. But when you're thinking about, a wall of water coming towards you, I mean, what can people really do? I mean, what are they told to do?
Listen,
evacuate? Yeah.
In the case where this earthquake happened about 80 miles from the coast, there's very little warning of that. And certainly, obviously, people felt this on the coastal areas, but they don't know where the center of this earthquake was. Is it on land or is it underwater? And if the center of it were somewhere under land, it would not have there isn't a tsunami. The tsunami happens when it happens underwater. And it appears that it was a very shallow earthquake, only about 6 miles deep, which will make a tsunami stronger. But you're absolutely right. If it occurs so close to the coast, there just isn't time for the warning. But if it occurs a little farther out, you obviously have a little more time.
Yeah, again, we're looking at some of these pictures. We're getting newer pictures as we're talking to you, and you see this rushing water filled with debris, cars, buildings, boats, you name it, and all of it is heading toward what looks to be a major highway with cars just driving along. In the middle of that, all that water and all that debris, there's also little fires going all over the place. I mean, this looks like a major disaster from what we're looking at.
Well, and we're also only seeing the video from one area. You know, I'm certain there's pictures like this all up and down the coast. That it's just going to take more time for those images to come in. So this will continue to unfold, and we'll continue to see, you know, so many of these images over the next couple of hours.
You know, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center came out with their warnings and watches, I mean, pretty much right away. It seems like that they were pretty on top of this and really trying to alert people as far as what was going on. You know, you had that first major quake, 8.8, and then sounds like some subsequent aftershocks that were pretty strong as well, 7.4 magnitude. They are, you know, it sounds like they are trying to get these warnings out to people, but you know, this is obviously developing and ongoing. What do you think they're focusing on at this point?
Well, I mean, certainly people at the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center and on the west coast of the U.S. they're just monitoring to see if that wave has been issued for those areas. But I have to tell you, I'm watching these images as well, and it's very devastating. You're absolutely right. This is all the debris, it's all the houses, it's cars. It's so powerful, and it's very reminiscent, obviously, to what we saw. I guess it's been 5 years ago. So you see these images in this one area, and this coming in. I'm telling you, this will be going on everywhere along the coast, and areas that are populated, obviously, is a bigger concern for human life. But these images are certainly very scary, Marianne.
So we may have just started to see the beginning of something that could be even bigger. All right, meteorologist Rick Reichmuth, thank you so much for joining us on this, and we'll come back to you in just a little while. Just to give everybody an idea who may just be tuning into us, Japan was struck by an 8.8 magnitude earthquake off its northeastern coast on Friday, about 2:46 their time. We're told it struck about 80 miles off that northeast coast, and that it did trigger a 13-foot tsunami. And you're looking at pictures right now of what looks like the tsunami actually hitting and washing away cars, homes, lots of debris. It just looks like a bunch of rushing water. We've seen pictures like these before with past tsunamis when they struck. We're also told that after the big one, after the 8.8 magnitude, that there were a series of aftershocks, including a 7.4 magnitude. That's also a pretty strong one. And the U.S. Geological Survey has actually upgraded the strength of that first quake. They thought that it wasn't as bad as it was in the beginning, and now they've upgraded that to an 8.8, which is a massive earthquake. The tsunami warning was issued pretty much right after that major earthquake hit out in the water offshore. A tsunami warning being issued almost right away for that area, for the coast of Japan, and then also being expanded to include a huge part of the Pacific. Tsunami warning still in effect for, of course, Japan and Russia, Marcus Island, and the Northern Marianas. A tsunami watch has also been issued for Guam, Taiwan, the Philippines, Indonesia, and the U.S. state of Hawaii. And we were just talking with both a seismologist and our meteorologist, Rick Reichmuth, and those warnings and watches could be expanded at any time. This is something that is still very much developing, and now we're just hearing word that it was actually an 8.9 magnitude earthquake. We were speaking to a seismologist earlier, and he said, you know, when things like this strike, sometimes they don't know exactly how strong they were, and it might take a little while to assess the damage and to really get a better idea. And as we're talking about that, we're going to go ahead and bring John Rundle. He's with UC Berkeley's a seismologist, geologist. John, we're getting a lot more pictures in right now, and we're seeing a lot of rushing water, a lot of debris in that water, including cars, possibly pieces of homes. We're seeing maybe bridges out. I mean, with something like this, I mean, you could be talking about a lot of injuries or possibly deaths.
Oh, you certainly are talking about a lot of injuries and deaths here. I'm watching the same pictures now, and frankly, that looks like looks higher than 13 feet to me. I wouldn't be surprised if it's significantly higher. I mean, that thing is really moving across those fields there and really tearing up homes and roads and freeways and whatever else is in its path. And you know, the interesting thing about this, I mean, if you can adopt for a moment a more clinical perspective, is I don't think we've seen anything like this. I mean, even the December 26, 2004 earthquake in Sumatra, we didn't have this level of coverage and these kind of pictures. This is amazing, frankly.
We started getting these in pretty much right away, and at that time they were saying that this was a, and they're still saying this is a 13-foot tsunami. But you're saying by looking at this, it's got to be a little bit higher than that.
I would think so. And those burning buildings you were showing earlier, I mean, they were showing some pictures from Kamaishi